Good morning. Here is this week's Quickie edit. I'm going to do something from this set, which I'll talk about in a minute because it's really fresh on my mind what I did, and it's very unlike what I usually do. I had promised in the Darktable unofficial that I would do a video on this edit, and I'll do this next week unless something else comes up. So this is my Instagram, Kiefer Honeyford Photography. If you comment on any of these that you would like to see an edit video, or comment in, yeah, that's the easiest way actually. Comment on one of these if you want to see these as an edit, and I'll see what I can do. This is kind of what I'm going to reproduce today. It was a natural light shoot, which is very unusual for me. Even if I'm shooting in natural light, I'll usually bring some kind of gear. But I gave myself this challenge. The location was kind of interesting. There was good natural light, and I gave myself the challenge to just shoot natural light. So that photo and this photo also, it was all natural window light. So looking at these images, you can see from the tint of it, it's not, I mean, it's good. Skin is great. It was pretty bright. It was shot with a 50mm 1/25 f2.8, so a tiny bit of depth of field with a Nikon D800 ISO. Where's the ISO? Why am I not seeing the ISO? It was about 540, I think, or 400. Why am I being blind? Oh, there it is, 200. Wow, that's awesome. So it was good. There was window light, a window here in the corner, and a reflector off to camera right here, huge silver reflector. So the light, it was sunny Denver day. You can see the light coming here, but this tile is not. I mean, it was kind of a light gray tile. I don't love this wood. So there are elements of this that do not pop for me. So the challenge is how to make this pop and be a super cool kind of high fashion look. So this is definitely different for me. What's really interesting, and I had to get my mind around, was how in this picture the subject is the shadows and the background is the highlights, and usually I'm working absolutely the other way around because this is more my usual thing. Oh, by the way, Zoe Zeller, congratulations to Zoe Zeller for winning Denver Fashion Week 303 magazine Model of the Year. Closely followed by Janelle. And I think I have Janelle was up for the prize. Also Phoenix was too. Where's Phoenix? Oh, Janelle and Phoenix were both in the van again. This shot, there's already a Darktable video if you want to track it down how that was shot. Let me turn Wi-Fi off so that I don't get frustrated. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna fish around here and show how low on the tone curve the subject is. Whoops. We're really talking the lower half of the tone curve. I've got a gap here. I'm gonna close that gap up. I'm gonna stretch that histogram so that it fills that gap at the bottom, but I'm not aiming for a histogram here because I'm really going to blow out the whites here. So we will expect to see everything just blowing off the top here. But let's use the tone curve where the subject is, just to get this into where we want to be. And usually I would have this switched on. Right now it's more of a distraction because this is more about eyeballing it. But I'm going to do just some basic things. as my brain works. I'm going to oversaturate this because I really want kind of a honey golden skin tone. I'm not going to mess with white balance because I'm going to mess so much with colors that the white balance starting point doesn't really matter. A lot of what I'm going to do with is color correction here. So what I'm going to use the color correction, the highlights are the background, and I'm going to clean those up to more of a white. And look at the power of Darktable here. Like, wow. I mean, talking about the power of Darktable, what I'm going to do in Darktable here, I think in the Adobe world would be a lot of a mixture between a raw tool and Photoshop. So this also illustrates the power of Darktable. I'm going to do a video on Darktable mindset because I think it's really, for somebody switching to Darktable, I think the complexity of it can be, you've got to get your head around it, but you also have to get your head around the fact that you are doing so much at a raw level. I mean, once something comes out of, the only thing I do outside of Darktable is skin tone, skin fixing. I don't even dodge and burn. I do skin tone. I take light stands and things out of the picture. So back to this. So I'm going to make that skin just a golden brown. And great skin. Wow. So we've got water, we've got great skin tone, we've got the whatever that is on the lips. So I am definitely going to play around with the equalizer here. And again, this just shows how powerful Darktable is, because I'm getting, you can use this almost for both what you might use for thingy separation. What's the term I'm looking for? Tone separation? What do you do in Facebook? Facebook. What do you do in Photoshop to separate out different layers for skin creation? Why am I'm blanking on the term? Somebody put it in the comments. But frequency separation, that's what it is. So I am making the hair, that's going to make the, right up at this end, we're talking about the finest details. So that's going to make the hair pop a little bit in terms of sharpness. But down here, we're dealing with these larger granules of coarse detail. That's an oxymoron. But what we're doing down here is feels like a dodge and burn type effect. So if you look at that compared to that, this is typically the realm of a Photoshop-like product, not a raw product. So there we go. I love the way that's popped. I'm gonna have a hard decision here. I don't have any noise, do I? A little bit. But I don't know that I... Ooh. Yeah, I'm just gonna edge that out the tiniest bit. It takes out some of that noise. But I might make the goal here to have do zero work outside of Darktable. So therefore, what am I gonna do here? Am I gonna soften with local contrast, or am I going to strengthen? I'm going to soften just a little bit. This is interesting. I've been playing around with this a little bit, moving the midtones around. So often with Darktable, there's so much you can do. I'll switch on a tool, and all I'll really mess with is the level. But these subs are interesting. It's interesting to be able to deal with highlight and shadows, but I've noticed that moving that mid-range slider can also help my kind of dodge burn-esque goals. So we've got that. So that is already night and day better compared to that. Already night and day better. But this was a really huge set. So there was a few things I did in general that I chose this photo specifically because I'm going to do some of those same things. This bath, there are, you know, those really cool standalone bear claw baths, bear claw, club foot, where it's just like a freestanding nice oval bath. Let's get one of those. Let's upgrade. So what I'm going to do, low passes can do a lot of things, but one of the things it can be used for is blur. So I'm going to low pass this front edge. And I've realized watching other people's videos, I always try to look for a simple way to do stuff. And that drawn mask works really well. Look at that. So now we have a nice expensive bath compared to a bath dropped into a tile surface. So what are we going to do with this stuff in the background? I do not like that wood, so I want to get rid of that a little bit. So let's just play around with some things. If I blow the highlights out, I'm blowing the background out. So I'm going to do some super subtle things that are all around the highlights. That's added a little bit more. Something I use very rarely is bloom. That blows it out a lot. And I'm losing a lot of detail in the bath, but I actually don't know if I care because I kind of like it. But let's tone that down a little bit. How about that? Now the brighter we go, the more we're introducing this kind of cyan bluey tint. So let's just be really simple. Let's just really simply get rid of, I mean, look at this color. It's skin tone, which is around here, and other stuff that we kind of want white. So let's just cut the saturation of everything else. And in fact, we can go all the way up to the point where we're softening that kind of nasty brown to something that's a little bit more stomachable. And that's pretty good. Going back to our color correction, I mean, there's various ways this could go. In the final edits I did, I went more to the bluey, clean, kind of super white, like that. And then to the honey golden brown skin tone. So that's a little bit more blown out than I want, but it's not. The bloom has blown that out. If I was just doing this one image, I would probably do a mask on the bloom and remove this. But in this set, as I often do, I was creating a template I was taking a setting and then cloning that setting all over the place. So I want to minimize the number of things that I use parametric masks on, that I use it in. Well, parametric masks are okay, but I want to minimize the number of places that I'm creating a physical, do this at this place like I did with the bath, because that doesn't copy and paste to other things. I actually like that even with that crop. I could crop this out altogether, but I guess that's it's not really ideal because I have so much here. That's probably the ideal crop, but I want it wider. Let's go from 5:7. Let's go to the original image aspect ratio. Crop as little as possible. Center right there. Yeah, I mean that's sure. GIMP, I could use GIMP. I could actually use the spot removal tool. I never do here, but the skin has come out really well there. So we've gone from that to that, all in Darktable. Like, wow. Okay, so as I always do, let's take that setting, copy them all, and let's paste everything that is not geographically related. I'm gonna leave the bath. I'm gonna leave that edge on the low pass. I might move it around, but okay. So there we have another photo already, and the low pass kind of worked the way it is. Again, the power of Darktable. This one I'll have to take out the low pass. And there's actually, I've used a lot less modules now than I did in this one, and I think I prefer the result. It's a little bit cleaner. This is pushing the crop. Let's do this too. Let's get rid of this altogether, just because we can. Let's take a new instance of that. And we've dropped that down to pretty much nothing of anything. And just a quick draw and mask. I always feather this edge a little bit. I'm going to do it a lot here. So I'm going to kind of go down to there's a tile line there. And there we have just the desaturation of that. Now, if I was going into GIMP, I would probably clean up this super bright. I can do it here. What do I do? Do I blow it out even more? I don't know. But as you can see, we're getting now multiple images. That bloom is affecting that. So that needs a little bit more love. But we're getting multiple images now very, very quickly. Let's paste that, excluding low pass. I can't see today. I don't even mind this now, because it's a divider in a place that I don't mind. I mean, it's just crazy how quickly I'm now churning out photos that I either can go with as is or are pretty damn close. There's some work to do there because her face is wet. That's kind of powerful. Oh, there's me. Wow, I mean, I'm really happy with, look at the sharpness there. Just goes to show. So this is natural light with a Nikon D800. The D800 was released in 2011. I use it all the time in the studio because there's nothing really has happened since then except low light development to a great extent. Let's play with this. Let's go black and white with this. And I'll do that now before I talk because it messes with my head when I go to black and white. It doesn't go to black and white instantly. And then let's turn off that so we see real black and white. See, that doesn't look black and white to me. That looks yellow. Gotta let my eyes change. So yeah, this is a Nikon D800. Sharp as that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. A camera you can pick up for $800. I did discover on this shoot though, I discovered that I have the problem that was common in very early Nikon D800s, that the focus points, so the edge focus points don't work very well, which sucks. So this is taken with center focus. All of this set was taken using the center focus point, centering and moving, which is a little bit upsetting that I've got a dud like that and I don't think I can do anything about it. There you go. Okay, so I like that. What do I want to do with it? There's not a lot of theoretical going on in my head right now. I just know that there was a lot of redder tones in the images, so I feel like most of the bang for the buck of subtlety will happen over in this red area. Let's see. So that's fine. If I bring up the shadows, then I'm lightening the skin because that is a shadow. I don't know if I like that or not. I don't know. I find it kind of feel though that the crop has to be tight, and this will need to be gimped because I want to take out all this mascara junk. That works quite well as black and white. Anyway, I won't bore you with any more. Let's look at the stack here again. Let's compress that stack. And all we're doing here, so we've some exposure compensation. Do we? Yes. So I used exposure to even out the tone curve here down the bottom. I used the blacks. I used a tone curve right kind of on the point where the face was. I dragged that straight up to bring the face where I wanted it to be in terms of exposure. I gave it a little bit of contrast and a little bit of saturation, a little bit more saturation than I sometimes might even give it a little bit more. Let's get that honey brown skin. The equalizer I used to, I mean, I think of it as Darktable's dodge and burn when you play around with the bottom end of that equalizer. Low pass I used to blur the edge of this, which was a step on the tile, and just made it completely go away. Bloom I used to blow out the light coming in from that window, soften everything up here, lose the fact that it's tile a little bit. I got this for free, and I don't know if I like it. Yeah, like that purple edge. Really needs some love, but I'm not going to go into it right now. I use color zones to completely shift everything about it. No, let's talk about color correction first. So that still stands up, actually. I still like that, but I do like the more crisp bluey white. Color zones I used to tank the saturation of everything except the skin tones, to take out some of the blues and colors that were coming in just because we were pushing this light so hard. Shadows and highlights. What did I do? Very little. Don't need it at all. No difference. Cropped it. And that's about it. Hope you enjoyed that. Please like and subscribe. And like I said, if you want to grab one of these photos that you want me to do a quickie with, this is definitely a candidate. This was an interesting shoot. No. I could maybe do one on that. This was an interesting shoot, and then I super wide angle, very, very close to the subject. I think like 20 millimeters here on a full frame camera. I have a flash with bouncing off 45 degrees, so really like no modifier or anything in the flash. Really low power flash, really close up, but then the camera was set to like 1/6 of a second or something. So this was a club scene, and the club lights kicked in and filled in the background, and there's some blurring on some of them, which is fine. How many do I have here? But that pool of light and the ambient just came together really well. I was really happy with it. So I could show how those worked up if you want. Typical bright white on location. That one I've done. And then there's my standard kind of dark background. So let me know. That is all I have today. And how long was that? Was it a quickie or not? It was 28 minutes. That's not quick. Okay, never mind. I love myself anyway. Please like and subscribe. Let me know what you think. Thanks.